Again, we've all been there, we've done that, we've seen it. And as you double a company and then you double it again and you go through this kind of growth spurt, you find out that every growth spurt that you have at whatever level you're at is going to be a lot different than the one before. So getting to 5 million looks a lot different than getting to 10 million. Getting to 20
Mhm.
million looks a lot different than getting to 10 million. Well, guess what? If you know what those growth spurts look like, you can then actually take the problems that you typically find at each one of those growth spurts, and we can figure out very systematically and data driven, and we can figure out what we need to do to remedy that, right?
Welcome to Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I've spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started. And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. I've got Harrison Tash with us today. And Harrison, no one knows Harrison as well as Harrison. So, Harrison, give us the backstory, bring us up to speed so we can tear into the conversation.
Yeah. Thanks, Richard. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm an author of Exit Without Leaving. And I also run a consulting firm called Living Water Consulting. And, just extremely passionate at helping owner-led businesses build leaders, sharpen strategy, and really get the results. And the reason why is because it's just as you grow a business, it gets harder and harder, right? There's a growth ceiling, and I just believe that privately held businesses are the backbone of our economy,
Mm-hmm.
and it shouldn't all depend on the owner. And so it's all about, growing healthy leaders that run the business. That's what we're about. And in the book, Exit Without Leaving, I really clarify a lot of the ways in which you build this kind of organization. And it's done really well. A lot of people are emailing us, telling us how much the book means to them. And so I'm just very excited to be on the podcast with you and talk about this.
Well, that's awesome because obviously this is a near and dear passion to my heart too. I did the same thing back in 2019. Wrote a book called "Escape the Owner Prison." Right, the contracts who to scale, regain control, and
Yeah.
fast track growth while loving life. So that's why
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to having you on because I know we're gonna share a lot of our own experiences, but really want to get your viewpoint. I love bringing on people who are doing similar things. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
think that's weird. Like we'll do it. It's like your competition. I go, dude, you know how many businesses there are? Okay, I can't
Yeah.
help
There's an
everybody. All right.
abundance, right? There's
Yes,
an
and
abundance.
if someone's doing it right, I want to promote them
Yeah.
so they can help people correctly. Because there's a lot of goofs out there who are doing it wrong. Okay, and they're
Yeah.
not really helping businesses. Okay, they're just making the bars a little thicker on the prison. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, you know what, Richard, the one differentiator that I just love that we bring to the table is all of our consultants and managers have literally worked their way up a privately held business. They didn't come from corporate. They didn't come from some crazy European country, like it was they literally worked their way up in a American business, privately held. And so they've gained the experience. So that's a huge differentiator, and we love saying that.
yeah, that's a big plus. It really is. I mean, I'm not gonna I won't, overhype it, but I really think, in this day and age with the internet and everything else, back when I was starting my first business, like in the late 80s, okay, there was no internet, there was no internet competition, okay, and there's also no coaches.
Yeah.
There was like no such thing,
Right.
okay,
Right.
pretty much,
Yeah.
unless you were super high end, you're like some CEO paying someone a gazillion dollars to come pat you on the back or whatever they did back then. But
Right.
now you have a wide selection. A lot of people are, it becomes that red ocean kind of philosophy, right? Where there a lot of people are
Yeah.
trying to get in on the game because I'll stop there. I got
Yeah.
opinions, but but I really I just love that when you're doing it for real and when your team is consisted of people who've also either built businesses or been have elevated through them, you know,
Yeah.
that's really important. You don't have to be the business builder, but if you've been, like you said, in a privately held company and you've started, we'll call it near the bottom or whatever, and worked your way up and you've seen it. Because I
Yeah.
remember with the people on my teams too, they saw what I was going through. You know what I mean? As an owner, like trying to do everything and juggle everything and have them, but still trying to pull this off. So they get it, and then they either watch the demise, as in my case, the first 20 years, right? Or they see like, wow, you really got this dialed in my next things, right? So now I really had a different viewpoint. So let's talk about that a little bit. Where do you, and I'm going to give this general question, where do you begin? Okay. And I know it
Yeah.
all depends on the client and everything else, but in general, we'll keep all this kind of high view. We don't have to dig deep in the weeds, but kind of what's your philosophy? That first conversation, what's that like?
Yeah. Yeah. Put yourself in the shoes of someone running, let's just call it like a contracting business, right? Like a
Mhm.
roofing company, right? they they might be able to work themselves out of the day to day, but somehow they keep coming back to being sucked in to those daily tasks, right? And it's normally like when a person leaves or when they land a shark of a client and they're like, okay, who's going to do this? Oh, the owner's going to do this one because they don't have the crews built yet. They don't have the managers built yet, the leaders built yet. And so the starting point is always figuring out what gets you back into that cycle or what puts you in that cycle where these big obstacles that you just can't get over. And so we start a lot with structure. How are you structured today? What's the roles? What's the clarity of those roles and the responsibilities? And if we, like probably within 5 minutes of looking at an org chart, we're like, okay, here's our workshop that we're gonna deliver to you, and here's what we're going to work through as a team, and we're gonna find out if some of our assumptions just by looking at your org chart is going to pan out or not. And so we really just start with where they're at, but we never ever prescribe without diagnosing. See, the problem is a lot of people come with this is the problem, okay? Like we need more systems and processes and they just go through all these things. They're like, well, this is what's wrong and this is what's wrong. If we had a new software, this would fix it. And it's like, I'm going to take what you think is the problem. And one of our consultants is going to literally work through with you to figure out if that's actually the problem. Because again, we've all been there, we've done that, we've seen it. And as you double a company and then you double it again and you go through this kind of growth spurt, you find out that every growth spurt that you have at whatever level you're at is going to be a lot different than the one before. So getting to 5 million looks a lot different than getting to 10 million. Getting to 20
Mhm.
million looks a lot different than getting to 10 million. Well, guess what? If you know what those growth spurts look like, you can then actually take the problems that you typically find at each one of those growth spurts, and we can figure out very systematically and data driven, and we can figure out what we need to do to remedy that, right?
Yeah, I like it. It reminds me of kind of when I talk to people, the difference between growth and scale. They
Yeah.
think it's the same thing. And I'm
Yeah,
like, no,
right.
what
Yeah.
you just described is growth. Okay. And how do you turn
Yeah.
from 10 million to 20 million? How do you turn that into scale? It's just like you said, if you know what the challenges are, you then prepare for that $10 million jump. Okay.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes scale because you're not going to be inventing things as you go. It's laid out.
Yeah.
You've got the project, you get everything in place, and now it's rinse and repeat, which is very
Yep.
different. Because if you don't have those in place, just like you said, that 10 to 20 is going to be growth, and growth is expensive because you make a ton of mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah,
that's
for
what
sure.
the education is expensive. Okay, as you learn how to do
Yeah.
that stuff, that's what's going to get you. So I'm glad you really are able to think long term on that, or at least from a process standpoint. Because I think, Harrison, you see, and I'm all about systems. I love processes, all that. They need to be there, but you have another issue with that, and that's the enforcement of those,
That's
right?
right. Yep.
So
Yeah.
like you can have all the coolest bells and whistles, but if no one's
Yeah.
doing what it's supposed to do, you kind of have a problem.
Well, imagine this. Your systems, people hear the word systems and they're like, "Oh, like, yeah, systems, right?" But what is it? Think of it like the vehicle of your business, right? Systems is like the thing that you see when you look at a vehicle. You're like, "Okay, this is a vehicle." But then there's processes, which is like the drive shaft, the tires, the rims, right? There's all these things that actually make up that vehicle. And to your point, who drives that vehicle, right? That thing's worthless unless you've got a driver. And yes, there are some ways to automate your vehicle. You can, if you're Elon Musk, you can make a car drive by itself. But guess what? There's still someone on the other end driving that vehicle
Yeah.
somewhere, some way. There's still
Yep.
something driving that thing. And that's where a lot of people forget to concentrate. They think they need all the right systems, but really what you need a healthy leader who actually drives that system.
Yeah, so important. I'm glad you said that because I was in a business just a week or so ago, and for a while I've been talking to them, and it's just they refuse to address the human capital issue. It's all
Yeah.
we do EOS now when we do this and we've got this and I'm like, but your floor is a wreck.
Yeah.
The people
Yeah.
you have are do not belong here.
Yeah.
Like they need to go. Like you're not, but and through their own admission, sometimes it's like, well, I'm not really good with people. I don't care, But you keep trying to solve it with the system.
Yeah.
Okay, eventually you got to address the final problem, and that's
Well,
human
it's
capital.
it's just it is a funny topic for me. It kind of it's hurtful because you're like, oh man, we've all been here at this point. But here's the number one phrase that I bet people they probably relate with really well, which is yeah, but they have a ton of knowledge in what we do. They've been with us for
Yeah.
20
Yep.
years.
That's
They
exactly
right,
what it
and
is.
you're just like, okay, I get that, and you're right. They're highly valuable, but they're not valuable to you at all if they're a huge bottleneck or if they're really the cancer that keeps growing within your business. And
Hmm.
so you have to make hard decisions. And I'm always telling people, give them a shot, but you need to be structured enough to where you actually have a plan in place of how their growth plan. How are you going to help develop them into who they need to be? See, where we often get confused in business is that we think if we find great people and then put them in a position, then we're good. But actually, it's the other way around. We need to
Right.
structure our businesses and find where the needs are and then find the great people to put them
That's
there,
it.
right?
That's it.
And so you can't fit a square, a square peg in a round hole. You have to figure out what you need and then go find the people that can solve those needs. And
Yeah.
we
It's
like to do it the opposite, though, don't we? We're like, oh, you
yeah.
know what, Joe, he's really good at what he does. I love that
Yeah.
guy. And then bring him in. We'll find a place for him, right?
Well, you know what I say here? So I go, it can't be personality driven.
Yeah.
Like you
Yep.
can't. That's the hang up. And when you have a really good personality, things are great.
Yeah.
But say you have another shift and you got not such a great personality on second shift because he doesn't want to be up at that time of night, but he's in there, right? So he's going because
Right.
he got a job. So things don't get executed the way they should, right? So now you're personality driven and you have a ton of variance on what's actually going on the floor. All same processes, same systems, same machines, right?
Yeah.
But it's operating different. So your point's really well taken here, and I think what people don't get, and I want to jump back a half a step here, just on that the wrong person, in that whether they're what do you want to call them toxic or they're that cancer. And
Yeah.
and that's what a lot of people because they have some tenure,
Hmm.
that's the hostage situation that's created, right? As a man,
Yeah.
if I get rid
Yeah.
of him, he knows how to do all this stuff. Been doing it for 7 years. From a coaching standpoint, from your standpoint, my standpoint, that is very, very difficult to address. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you can just tell them we'll get rid of him. I mean, I have no emotional
Yeah.
attachment to this dude. I'll walk into his car right now, okay, and watch what
Yeah.
happens. But that's not going to fly. Okay, they're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we really have to understand, like, what is that approach for you? Is it just more clarity? What are you doing to get them to really understand that? Because that's a hurdle. That's a real hurdle.
Yeah. Well, so in the eighth grade framework that we have, one of the first things that you got to do is look at the foundation of your business, right? Like if you could look at the foundation of your business, and say, how do we rate on these? So, do you have healthy leaders? Okay, like we just talked about that. I'll give you a little bit of a four C's on how to know if you got the healthy leaders, right? Um, but there's many things within that. It's like a whole book in itself, right? But then there's vision. And it's like where are we going? Where do we see ourselves in the next 3 to 5 years on the horizon? Where do we see ourselves in the 10 plus year mark? And if you can create a really good practical vision, I don't mean one of those fluffy visions where you're like, we're going to put a roof on every house or we're going to,
Right.
like not something fluffy. It's very tangible. It's really big goals, characteristics, the way we want our culture to feel. Like it's very tangible bullets and it becomes your vision. And so if you can do that, but then what else is there? There's purpose. Like what's the purpose of your organization? What's going to attract the right people and what's going to keep people, right? And then the last of the four foundational four is the values. Like if you want like-minded people, well, make sure that you understand what like-minded means. Your values are the main reason to do that. And we've seen companies start territories, different regions, and then they come back, 6 months later, and they're like, it's not working out. We don't know why. And it's like they're concentrating on this, but we want them to concentrate on this. We had a growth plan, but they're diverting. It's like, well, you started at the wrong point. You started with competence, but you didn't look at character, right? So let me give you the four C's that I think is really important to kind of give yourself a scorecard on when you're looking for the right people, but when you're also developing the people in your business. And it's competence, character, chemistry, and capacity, right? So if you could look and say, okay, competence, do they have what it takes to do this job? Do they have the right experience? Character, do they align with their values? Have they been able to work through problems in their lifetime, right? Chemistry, okay, if we're going to put them in charge of this team, can they actually do it with the team's makeup, their DNA, right? And it's not about, see, chemistry is not about finding like it's not just like-minded, it's also balancing your team, right? So if you want your team to grow, don't just put in another person that thinks exactly the same. You want diverse thinking. And so you want someone that balances your team. And then there's capacity. Like, do they even want to grow with your business or do they really like where they're at? Do they really like what they do? And there's lots of ways to do this in the hiring process and also in the development process of your employees. But if you can concentrate on those four C's, competence, character, chemistry, and capacity, that's how you're going to know where are we at in our business and how do we find these leaders who are truly wanting to run the business for us, right?
Yeah, I think you're on point there because what a lot of people underestimate like the character aspect, right? And so people talk about character all the time and they can't even give you a definition. Well, what do you mean?
Right.
Like, well, this is your company, so tell me what character you're looking for. Then that should immediately go to their core values, right?
Yeah.
Their core values is the building blocks of character. So if you can't just ask, like, you can't just say, well, what kind of character are you looking for? Oh, I want a guy who's honest and doesn't lie. Well, who doesn't?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Looking
tell,
for integrity.
yes, please,
Yeah.
please tell me the guy who showed up for an interview and said, well, I'm a major liar. Man, I love to
Yeah.
lie. Okay. And if you leave some money on the table, I'm taking that stuff. Okay. I'm a
Yeah.
thief. I'm the best thief you'll ever meet. Okay. You're never going to hear those things. So you can't have these generalizations that everybody should be. You have to really dial that in. If they don't match that, we used to do like tenets. Like here's the project manager. Here's the tenets of a project manager. Here's what they do. This is who they are, not
Hmm.
just how they operate. So
Yeah.
we put them in poster form on the walls, like in the showrooms and stuff. People are like, oh dang, they're like looking at them like this is who you'll be working with, and you're like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a declaration right there, right? But now they know where they're coming into, like you're saying. They need to understand, and core values, I think, is a big thing of that because again, it develops a character. Competency for me, Harrison, is like we want it, but it also can
Yeah.
be trained. That's the
Yeah.
easy part, right?
Yep.
Sometimes you want a blank canvas. I actually don't want you to be like, I don't want you to know what I do because you probably got a lot of bad habits that are not going to fly here because we're real high end and we high quality and
Yeah.
whatever. So, so that's negotiable, if you will, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But the core values, the character, that kind of stuff is really good. And I always use another C, feel free to make it five now instead of four. No, but just calling is another one. Like, are they
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
called to do this? Like, is this something they like,
yeah,
man, I really feel like I want to do this. It's really cool. It's not a
yeah,
must, but I'm just saying it's like, you know,
yeah,
when you get time to think about your hiring process, like you just described, because I think it's really important. I think, and let me know what you're finding out there too, is I no one takes time on their hiring process. It's so random. I mean,
yeah,
from a
yeah,
pulse, a fog, a mirror, to like, I don't know what, like take them to
yeah.
three lunches and do all this stuff, meet their family, and well, I don't know, but it spans the
Richard,
whole.
this is a problem across the board, like you said. We have not worked with one company that has had a great hiring process that has done less than 100 million a year, right? So like the more you get into the growth of your business and the more mature you become, yes, the hiring process starts to get better, but we've worked with $100 million businesses that have a terrible hiring process. And then they wonder why the turn rate is so bad, right? Now, we've worked with some businesses in the, 10, 20 million range that were like, hey, like surprisingly, you have a good foundation here, but you're missing some of the key elements of hiring. And that's why we like to bring real assessments for your candidates, like real things that they fill out that spit data back into your
That's
face
it.
to say, like when you said, is this their calling? We can tell if you're hiring someone who's meant to do sales, but you're trying to hire them for a PM role. We can tell if you're
Mhm.
trying to hire someone that says that they're good with financials and all these other kind of more data, specific type roles. And really, what they're really meant to do is go shake hands and get you business, right? We can figure that out just by asking the right questions on an assessment that literally automatically spits data right back into us or at us so that we can assess this well. And that's a key step that most people are missing in their hiring process. They don't have the data to help them say, here's what we hear, but what do we see on paper, right? And you gotta compare notes in that, right?
Yeah, what I think, what I tell them too, Harrison, is I'm like, well, you're asking a question. What is the actual outcome of that question are you looking for?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
when
yeah.
they
What
tell
do
you
you
whatever
expect to
they
hear? What do you want to hear, right?
right, and maybe not even that, but like what how do you interpret that answer? That's what's
Yeah,
key. Like, how are you interpreting the answer? And if you have a quality assessment, you can do that, right? Like, you understand, like, we're looking for this per position. It
yeah,
can't be general to work here at the company. I have 18 different positions here. Okay.
right,
Like,
yeah.
they're not, and they're not for everybody. They're not interchangeable, right? So
Well,
I think it's,
this is the easy train. I mean, your audience is leaving with a ton of value here, I think, between our conversation. But the key is to train yourself to ask three questions on the any answer that someone gives you is to drill down three questions. And so if you can do and learn this in life, it's called being curious, right?
right.
But if you can learn to do this in any situation where you're like, I think I know, but I'm not sure entirely. Okay, what three questions can I ask to get more clarity on what this means? When someone says, "Well, I value high quality, and that's why I want to work here." Okay, well, tell me what quality means to you.
Yep.
Okay, well, quality means to me they fill in the blank, and you're like, okay, well, give me an example of how you've actually lived out that kind of, process in your quality, right?
Yeah.
So you're asking these questions to drill down to really see if there's an actual alignment or not. The more you pick someone's brain and you find out how they think, you're going to be able to perceive how they act.
Yeah. I love scenarios.
Yeah,
Put
right.
them in a scenario and
Yeah,
listen to the
exactly.
answer because they're first, they don't get that ever. Okay. People don't put you in a scenario. I would do it with some of my high-end remodelers and construction guys. They're hiring a project manager. I'm like, and they're having trouble. I'm like, well, like when you come, what do you ask them? And one of the things I go, do you have them actually open up their laptop or and like show you their work schedule, like show me their planning. They're project managers. What system are they using? Show me the colors. Show me the
Yeah.
date. Show me how you enter stuff.
Yeah.
They go, no. I go, you've never done that. No. I go, that's why you have bad people.
Yeah.
Because they can just
Yeah.
blow smoke the whole time. But like, show me the real thing. Show me
Okay,
what you're
well,
working on right now.
this is good, Richard. Because like what happens is someone's telling you this great system, and then when you say show me it, and they're like, well, I could take a picture of my whiteboard when I get back to my office. And it's like, whoa, no, no, no. We we don't want your whiteboard. We want an actual system. I thought you were saying
Yep.
it. And so you start to clarify, right?
Hmm. Excellent. I love it. I mean, that's what it's about, right? And these
Yeah.
are, like we kind of get it. We've gone through all this stuff, but like for a lot of guys, I mean, they're really just trying to get a role filled so they have a
Yeah.
body to go make a call, right? To serve this, perform a duty and everything else for clients. So they don't ever get that time because they're so wrapped up in the day to day and just
Yeah.
keeping the ball rolling and getting the next Friday, getting to payroll and that kind of stuff. Even when they're a little, like you said, they could be doing 15, 20, 25 million a year, 30 million a year. And it's still that same, that same constriction is there.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you're
Yeah.
at that level, and you can let me know if you agree with this, you can only look at the owner. It's only, it's only the owner's fault because he hasn't allowed himself to get to that 30,000 foot view and look down. Do you find that? Because we all, well, I'll say this finally. We all know that the owner's the biggest bottleneck in any business. Okay. That's the
Yeah.
reality. Okay. Now
Right.
telling them that's a different story. There's a different method. You just don't
Yeah.
come on and say that, but, but we understand that's our end goal, right?
Yeah.
Is that we get to that point. That's when they can really go 8 figure, 9 figure, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, and sometimes that's owners, right? And yeah, no, but you're exactly right. It comes down to taking ownership of your business. And guess what? Oftentimes the owner that got it to 10 million isn't the only person that's going to get it to 20 million,
For
right?
sure.
And this is why we say, like when we think about this, most companies struggle to develop true leaders that run the business, right? And that's literally where we come in because you need a team, a true team that takes ownership and they have accountability. And without these things, your business is always going to come back to you because people don't feel ownership. I've heard people say this all the time where they're like, well, I've given them this big salary, I gave them this great title, and at the end of the day, they're still not working as hard as I am. And I'm like, listen, I know people that make less money than them. I know people that have less titles than them, but yet they still drive better results for their business and they're not the owner. Why is that? Because ownership is a mentality. And if
It's
you can't learn to teach it and you can't learn to cultivate healthy leaders in your business that can actually help you run the business, then you're going to always find yourself in the systematic, problematic kind of downward spiral when someone leaves or something goes wrong and people are like, listen, this isn't my business, this is your business, right? You need
yeah,
people that actually adopt it.
yeah. Here's the statement. Okay, great leaders make more leaders.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. Let's get into this, Richard, right? I
that's the
love
whole
this
thing,
topic.
right? That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. This is where, and I'll tie it in, and we can really expand on this. I think we'll enjoy ourselves talking about this. But you want to create those leaders in those positions, and it also crosses into your systems and process execution, right? They have
Yeah.
to be able to operate with guardrails. They have to understand how to win. I always tell people they need to know what success looks like on the day, the week, the month, the quarter, the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they say, listen, if you develop it that way and they can come and win every day, you know where they
Yeah.
want to go every day? To work. Because they get to go
So
be a
true.
winner every single
Yeah.
day. Because out in life, you don't get that. Okay. You don't get to be a
No,
winner every day.
and for us, our purpose as a company for Living Water Consulting is to flood the market with people using their God-given skills and talents, right?
Love it.
Like if you can have people that feel like they're using their God-given skills and talents, you have won in your business because they will go to the ends of the earth to use those talents and to be
Yeah.
able to bring back more with it, right? So here's the you mentioned it. So we say it like this, like build healthy leaders who run the business. That's like one of our sound
Mhm.
bites. And here's the thing. If you want to grow healthy leaders who run the business, they have to be accountable for making more leaders. And that starts with the ownership team. You have to be accountable for making more leaders. How do you do this? We call it the gig of healthy leadership. It's grow, invest, guide. Grow, invest, guide. This is a two-way street. It is grow, you have to teach people how to think. Invest, have to give your time and energy. And guide, you have to steward the relationship. And it's both sides. You have to learn to do this for yourself so people can see it. And then you have to be able to then share with them how to do this. If you can do this well, you can grow your business and expedite the process, that painful process you feel. You can expedite that process to where people are literally running the business for you. And that doesn't mean you're not involved. It means that you get to go focus on the next stage of growth for your business. Until then, you're just running around in circles.
Yeah, and you're exactly right because you need confidence in leadership that's that you've created. So again, if you
Yeah.
haven't trained them properly, so many times people, they do the proverbial abdicate and they don't delegate. They
Yeah.
just tell them to do something. Then, oh, the right guy. I had a client, he just kept telling me he always had the wrong people.
Yeah.
Always hired the wrong people.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't
I always
you
just
love that,
did
right?
this, and they go on their own. I have to tell them like weekly, listen, the people you're hiring aren't you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you did this, you did that, you did this. If that's what everyone says. It doesn't, that's not who they are. They're not here to own your business. Okay. They're not here to be you. You built this from nothing. Yes, I did multiples. I don't have that expectation of people working for me. But at the same time, you're giving them no instruction, no guard. You just expect them to figure it out. If you think you can just expect someone to figure it out, you're going to
Yeah.
live in misery. Okay, you're going to have the lowest ceiling business ever. Okay, because that's not why they're hired.
Yeah.
They're not hired to go figure out your mess. Okay, there's the accountability part from the top leadership aspect. But you're absolutely right. But you give them that place where they can operate. Now you can get the right person to drop in, and if the system's built and the guardrails are there, they understand it. Now you can have accountability. You can have judgment. You
Yeah.
can you can measure what they're doing. You can have KPIs. You can have targets they can hit, and then you can truly track it because you've given them all the tools to succeed. Is that what you see? Because I, you have to create great leaders, but they also have to have a system to work in. If it's just
Yeah.
randomness and they're bopping between all these different departments because they don't really know what their deal is, just walk around with some magic wand or something that's supposed to make everything good. It just never works.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's two parts that I'd like to address here. One, you mentioned people just hiring great people that just do it. Like everyone wants that, of course.
Yeah.
How many of those people? It's like less than 10% of people you're going to find that can just literally come in and do it, right?
Yeah. You're being
But
generous at 10%.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And here's the thing. It's like we look at it as extremes in our lives, right? So the extreme is this, and this is in chapter one of the book, X Without Leaving. It's on one side you have avoiding, and on the other side you have control. And guiding someone to become a leader in your business is actually it's somewhere in between there. You can't avoid people where you dump and run and you're like, hey, figure it out. And you can't control people where you're like puppetizing them, right? Like there's somewhere in between where you're like, I'm holding you accountable, yet I'm letting you loose a little bit. And it's this trust thing, right? And the other piece that I'd like to mention is that when we think about why we have a hard time doing this, we have to understand ourselves. You have to really focus on self-awareness. A lot of people think they know themselves well, but until you, like, again, with our assessments, it's like, get it on a leadership dashboard of looking at like what you truly, how you operate, how you think. And then it's surprising. And here's what we always tell people is like, hey, grab a glass of wine with your wife and see if this is right. I guarantee you she's laughing in your face going, that's you,
Yeah,
that's you, that's you.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and you need that self-awareness so that you can understand where your tendencies actually are, right? And so everyone that does work with us gets a leadership dashboard, and they literally go online. They have metrics, and it's like, hey, at the end of the day, or actually at the end of the week, you're going to put a metric on where you hit these, and you're going to track your progress, and we're going to track it with you. And it's like if you don't provide that kind of accountability for yourself, how do you think you're going to do it for your team?
That's right. That's right. You're gonna compromise, and you're gonna
Yeah,
compensate. Okay, with that stuff all the time. So I love that you do that because I think I've worked with a lot of owners. Okay, over
yeah,
years and years, right? And getting them to do the work. Sometimes I got the best clients ever. They do everything I say. It's amazing. And you know what happens? Everything goes well. And their businesses grow and they get multiple businesses. And that's really cool. Then you get the people who don't do it, or they do it halfway, but they don't. Where's the tracking system? I love you got some dashboards and they see it because there's coach accountability. Okay. But maybe we're
hmm,
talking once a week. Okay. Or
right,
maybe we do a couple of boxers or something in a week like I do. But they have to enter the data. What I've done in ours now too is it's all uploaded. Okay, so
hmm,
when we're in what we call installing command, they have to upload all their homework every week. They have
yeah,
Here's everything you do. Here's what we do in this, and then we do it here, and it's all tracked, right? And it's like you either comply or you don't. Okay,
yeah,
so it's like we would kind of have that, and that's a really important aspect of anyone coaching someone, training someone, trying to go to the next level. Listen, I work out all the time, right? You know when I do my best workouts? Either working out with someone else or having a trainer.
yeah,
Okay. That's when you make the big gains. Okay. So
yeah.
it's important because there's a way higher level of accountability. There's someone pushing you, right? I think that's as owners, I think that's important that we understand that we actually need someone because we make our own decisions. We literally are
Yeah.
like at the top.
Right.
Okay. If I do or not do whatever I want, it's not so
Yeah.
good. It's not such a good thing.
I mean, for most people, that's yeah, like 90% of people or more, that's definitely not good.
Right.
And yeah, all the best athletes had a great coach and personal
Mhm.
trainer, right?
Yeah.
And somehow we think that there's this big disconnect between our physicality and our mental state, right? There's not. It's the exact same principles needed to grow both. And by the way, I thought I saw some big traps on you, so now I know why.
Yes, I can hit things. I hit things for a living. No, but yeah, but you're right though. I've got another friend. He's a performance coach. He just got a gig with the Eagles. So he flies in
Okay.
each week and just head work. It's head
Hmm.
work. Okay. It's like that's performance work. It's all up here. It's
Yeah.
mental, right? You've got to understand that's where the power is. Okay. Yeah, I can squat this. I can do this. I can hit the bag for all this time. I can do a lot of cool things, but the head's not right. Like people ask me, like, why do I train so hard at
Right.
air quote my age? Okay.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I just want to stay dangerous. I I have a responsibility. I have a wife and kids people to protect. Like I have to practice my skills. But in my head, that heavy bag for me, is a stinking opponent. I'm not
Right.
hitting an inanimate object, man. I'm at war. And that's why no one talks to me when I work out because I'm engaged. Okay. But you're right. And I'm glad that you guys see that because that's one of your bigger hurdles. Okay, is helping owners understand that, right? Really kind of there's a lot of
Yeah.
head work here. There's in the mindset, whatever you want to call it. But so kind of explain to me when you're getting into that arena, okay,
Hmm.
of working their head, like what either you can share some examples, but like that can get dicey,
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
because self awareness is the number one entrepreneurial trait. Okay, so most entrepreneurs have a high level of self awareness.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they have a lot of it. They
Yeah.
just have a high level, which could be everything else is very low. Okay. So when you're dealing that or trying to help them increase that level of self-awareness, what does that look like for you guys? Is that a difficult thing or is it just little by little?
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, self-awareness for entrepreneurs, owners, I mean, they have extreme drive, they have extreme self-awareness, and they know what they're not good at and all that. So, like I said, the self-awareness piece, yes, you need that leadership dashboard to get it on paper. The most important, that's 20% of the work. The other 80 is literally discipline. It's the ability, because you can know something without doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so the hardest part is that 80%. And it's where you have to not only see what you need to work on, but you have to own it and say it, right? So we like sound bites in our organization. So we like people to say things like, I know I'm not the person alone who's going to take this organization to the next level. I need help. I need someone who maybe they own 10% of the company so that we can work together to grow this business and they can get more as we go. I need them to say that, right? Or maybe they say things like, I will do what I want to do. I'll admit that. Like if I want to go take a 3 week vacation, I just go do it, knowing that there's some things I'm leaving behind, but I do it because I want to. But it's not healthy. I shouldn't act like that. Sometimes I get very selfish. I need people to say these kind of things because guess who's writing it over there or typing it in? It's us, right? We're over there typing in, going, okay. And then you get to say, listen, like, hey, on April 3rd of 2026, this is what you said, right? Now, is this true? Okay, great. We're going to put this into a metric for your business. Every week, you're going to hold yourself accountable for this, and this is what you're going to do. Do you agree to this? Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, people will agree to certain things when they know it's true and they know that they don't have to do anything about it right now. They're going to say, yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
Then when weeks follow and they're like, I don't want to do that. It's like, what
Right.
you said you did. And here, look on the metric. You said it on this date. You said you wanted to do it. Like, yeah, I did say that. Okay, then let's shut up and do it, right? Let's just do it. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, let's do it. And
Yeah.
people want that kind of accountability. They want that
Well,
kind of
they do.
accountability.
Yeah. They didn't hire you to, just be a yes man.
Right,
If they
exactly.
did, I end up firing those people.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm not doing that. But you said something really, really powerful here. And it's speaking. Okay.
Mm,
The power of the tongue. There's
yeah,
life and death in the power of the tongue. Right.
100%.
But when you verbalize that, not to yourself, not speaking, I mean, without uttering the words, but
Right.
they got to come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
That's where the power is. And if I'm thinking, all right, I'm good. I'm going to work out tomorrow because
Yeah.
told myself in my mind, it doesn't work. That commitment, especially if you're like doing a Zoom coaching call and you're recording it,
Yeah.
you literally can go, let me hold on a second. Listen to this. Okay. Like you said this, right. But
Yeah.
that when they speak it, when we speak these words out loud,
Hmm.
that's the difference maker. It's a really, really powerful thing. And I love that you make them do that.
Yeah.
And you probably know, but if you don't know, like that is like critical because
Yeah.
that they have to hear themselves say it. Because you
Yeah.
say it to yourself, your mind will deny it. Okay, it'll deny because no one heard it,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah, for
really
sure.
easy to deny it.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
you're speaking it out loud, even if you're by yourself and you speak it out loud, there's power to that. I want people to kind of take that away because I think it's really important to understand in like your daily life. Like you're speaking stuff, I'll be in the car and I'll be like saying stuff like that out loud. You know what I mean? Like I got to repeat these things and I want to hear them, but I got to come out of my mouth. I read out loud, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That's why when I, not as much anymore, but early on in podcasting, I'd always listen to my episodes because I want to hear what I said. I go, ooh, like I
Yep.
remember one time, like, oh, I shouldn't throw my brother on the bus like that. He might listen to this someday, right? So, but you learn, but that hearing your own voice is really important. And it
Yeah.
really gives you a real connection to what you're actually saying. Because we could
Yeah.
just run off at the mouth and just think we did nothing. But man, when you play it back, ooh, that's powerful.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge journaler, if you will. Like I don't
Right.
have like my own. I have some for like my kids and stuff like that. But when it comes to the business, I journal in bullets and I put it down on a place that we always come back to. So we have our winning strategy. We have bullets on there of like these are the things that we're working on and here's why. And if you look at like my metrics, so like whatever we do with our clients, we do as consulting,
Nice.
right? So we
Nice.
have our own metrics, we have our own things. And it's like you want people to ensure that there's a place that they come back to it. Because if you have to dig into the archives to pull up a session you did 2 years ago, you're not going to remember that.
Right.
You need something that where it's like you're coming back to it every week because that's the source of truth, right? And that's how
Yeah.
you make that's how you make big change because you're seeing what you said every week, right?
Yeah, I have notebooks, thick notebooks full of notes.
Yeah. I
Okay, and
think I know where you're going with this on
that's
this
where they've
one.
gone to die.
Yeah.
Okay, all that stuff. Because but just the only caveat I add to that is me writing, like physically writing. I don't type, I write it.
Yeah.
That connects to my brain, so I don't
Yes. Yeah.
really have to have them. And I'll go back and look and go, yeah, well, I actually still kind of know that. Or once in a while, you hit something that like matters. But a lot of times, and maybe I'm just not a professional note taker. A lot of time, like that was kind of a waste of time. You know, like what is this? But I have a lot of that, and I'm not a journaler either. I don't
Yeah.
journal like, hey, today I did this, and guys who do, God bless them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
It's a
it's a
great
powerful
practice.
tool, man.
Very
And you
powerful.
now the only thing I journal was my workouts, so I
There
could
you
go back
go.
15 years, and I only do this to go, man, I was a stinking stud. Look at look at look at the
Hey, why is it your age goes up and your weight goes down? I don't
that's
get it.
right. I'm just like, man, look, we still pulling that rower, man. I was, oh man,
Yeah.
if I could only do that again, but I'm still training hard and again, but
Yeah.
so there's a record, what I mean? I like it. And tracking progress is important. But
Well, let
it's
me
different than journaling.
I want to give a kind of a tag on to this whole journaling piece. This is one practice. If anybody's going to take anything away from this podcast, I want them to take this away. If you want to be successful, plan a week or 2 weeks ahead and make sure that you're aligning your schedule with your big goals. If there's anything I know that there's a lack of discipline across the board with people, leading companies or leaders within a business, it doesn't matter where you're at in the organization, it is most people will not take the time to plan out how they're going to actually achieve what they want to achieve. And if you want to know your number one revealing data that's going to tell you if you're going to be successful or not, look on your calendar and see how well it is organized. Look at where your goals are and see if your goals are actually in your calendar. So one thing you mentioned writing, one thing that I teach, and this is you don't have to do this forever, but I've been doing it for like 7 years now. All right. So every single week, I plan the week ahead and I write down my schedule. Even though it's in my calendar, I
Mhm.
write down my schedule. I find the gaps in my calendar. I look at my goals and I fill in my goals of where I'm going to work on those goals. Right. And that's how I was able to write a book in a year. It's how I was able to build a business within 2 years, like a very successful business. And then, these are things that I've been able to do because I've taken the discipline to do it. And I look back at that and I'm like, you know what? Like I did it because I knew it was going to lead to something good. But now I look back on it and it's like I got to teach people this because if people could learn to do the same thing, and here's the danger of it. People now are implementing these type of AI tools that do it automatically for you. And I'm like, listen, you're losing one of the best things you
Yes.
can do as a leader, which is
Yep.
actually plan your own schedule,
That's
right?
right.
And
Yep.
make sure that you hit your own schedule.
Is
It's
really important.
incredible.
Yeah, really, really. It's such a great point. Because here's the thing, like I'm just finished. I told you I just finished my third book, but like I'm driving hard. I've been working for like a year and a half, almost 2 years straight, like
Yeah.
literally like 15 hours a day. I'm building diagnostics. I'm doing stuff I'd never done before, and I'm in it, right? I love it. I'm working, working, working. My wife's like, "Who are you?" Okay, like I've never seen you work this long. I've always worked, but then I got the book. Then the book's being finished, and now I'm like, and to your point about writing down, filling in the goal steps during those weeks, man, this was like this morning or last night. I'm on. I'm going. I feel like I'm losing steam.
Hmm.
I mean, it's been a long run.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but I'm like, am I dropping the ball at the 3 yard line? That's what I
Yeah.
feel like. I feel like, okay, I gotta get back. I'm not there yet. Right. I've launched this whole thing, but and I'm gonna take your hack here and I'm gonna start implementing that as well. Because I
Yeah.
think, I'm pretty self-disciplined. Obviously I've done like what no one's done, you know, literally like what I've done is crazy. But like now I'm going, I feel like I'm being deflated.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
either
Well,
not fatigue, but like lack of
yeah.
direction almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all get here though, right?
Right.
It's just this constant journey up and down, and hopefully though those up and downs are actually leading upward in an inclining way, right? Because you should be getting better as you find those ups and
Right.
downs. One of the things I can say in that though is if you don't have a goal to be a better husband, a better father, a better friend, then you need to work in those into your goals too. Because if it's
Mm.
always about more revenue, more shiny things, more boats, more lake houses, you're screwing it up for yourself,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So make sure that you have metrics in there about how you're going to actually be a better husband, how you're going to be a better friend, a better, right, a father, a mother, right? These are things that you have to work in there. One of the things that I started teaching our clients to do is to take 30 minutes a week in silence. And some take this very seriously, and some don't. But at the end of the day, what I've learned is when I sit in silence, all of a sudden the things that are most important to me rush to the top of my head. Now, listen, I'm a God-fearing man, so I
Yep.
like to assume that God's actually knocking on my door
Well,
saying, "Listen, man, when's the last time you took your wife on a date?"
yeah,
Right?
we call it listening prayer.
Yeah, there you
That's what we
go.
do. We
That's
actually
good.
sit
Yeah,
literally with a pen and paper in front of us and wait for the download.
yeah, that's
Absolute
good.
silence. So
That's really good.
I love it. It's so good. So I have like the 5 F's. You've probably heard these. You got
Okay, let me hear it.
faith, family, finance, fitness, and friendships.
Yeah, I love that.
Those are the things that like, and they're not equal. I
Yep.
mean, but faith, God for me is number one, right? That's number
Yeah.
one. Next is family. And in my family, it's my wife and then my
Yeah.
6 kids in that
Yeah. You
order.
have six
Okay.
kids, Richard?
Yeah,
Six?
yeah, six, man. I don't play around.
Man,
I'm
no
not
wonder
a,
why you go to
I'm
the
a,
weight room.
I'm an overachiever, man. I can't be a slacker. I gotta make up for everyone who's not doing 2.1 kids. We
Yeah,
need
that's
to
crazy.
maintain the replacement rate.
Good for
But
you.
that is, so that's family. Then you get your finance, right? You got to pay attention to your money, right?
Yeah.
Do the right things with that. And you get fitness, right? You got to work out. You got to eat healthy because that's where your energy is going to come from. That's where your longevity is coming from. That's how
Yeah.
you can serve your family and your finances and the Lord, right? Be being fit by
Yeah.
being energetic, by being healthy, and then friendships.
Yeah.
Friendships like, and I don't have a lot of friends, okay, and by choice.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have trench buddies, right? Guys who got
Yeah.
my six no matter what, and I got
Right.
theirs, and that's it. Those I have lots of rings of people I know and people I like and stuff like that. But no one, the inner circle's really well. My standing joke with my kids is like, well, if all my friends are on one hand and I lost 3 fingers, I still have all my friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
So it's just, that's how I operate. But but I love that you consider this and you have to bring this to the owners like you are. This 30 minutes of silence to people sounds like some will think it's not a lot, but have you done it?
Oh my goodness. It's like it's so hard. I mean, we're not talking about like running on a treadmill sign. I mean, sitting and doing nothing with very, very little distraction. You can't control the birds outside chirping, but you can control if you're,
You can if you do it at
eating.
4 in the morning
Right, there you
because
go.
they're not out. That's when I get
Yeah.
up, and then
You
the
you
birds are
just
sleeping.
yeah, you just need to have a moment where you're not trying to think or do or be. You're literally just sitting and listening. And that is very important in our day and age. And I'm trying to get better at it. The reason why this is such a big topic for me right now is because this year I'm trying to get really good at it, right? I'm trying to
Awesome.
really pay attention to this.
So talk to me about. Well, here's the next thing. Let's talk about. I'm going to call them rituals.
Yeah.
Morning ritual. Okay, because there's a great saying. I think it was Jim Rohn. We are defined by our rituals, which I
Yeah.
really like. What do you do? Like, I have a thing. It's seven
Yeah.
days a week. I'm 4 a.m. I get up at
Yeah.
4 a.m. 7 days a week, and I have a whole system. I drink functional mushroom coffee, right? I pray, do my Bible study, pray into hour and a half, 5:30. I'm on the road down to the gym, go get a
Yeah.
good hard workout, get that, come back, prep my food, get cleaned up, everything else. So my first like three and a half, 4 hours of the day are accounted for every single day.
Yeah.
Right. So like give us kind of your routine and like are you doing that? Are you helping your clients establish that if they don't have it or what it is? And it doesn't have to be 4 a.m. and all that kind of stuff, but that's me because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
nobody up, including the birds at 4 a.m. So there's no excuses to be distracted.
Yeah. Well, I think you do have to look at it a little bit, that it's not a personality thing, but it does depend on seasons of your life. For
Hmm.
instance, when you have young kids, this changes, right? When you get into empty nesters, this changes, right? And so what I would say is per your season of life, you need to have something that's going to ground you in those disciplines. So for one season of my life, I was waking up at, about 5 o'clock every single morning.
Hmm.
Now I wake up about 5:45. And the biggest reason is because I realized through 16 years of marriage that my wife was not going to change, that she's a little bit more of a night owl. She likes to stay up till like 11. I like to go to bed at like 9, right?
That's me. That's me and my wife, man. My wife makes it till like 1 a.m. Like I'm
Yeah.
like
Oh,
9 o'clock,
geez.
like good night.
My goodness.
Good
Yeah.
night. Yeah.
And so if I want to see my wife, I got to stay up till like 10 to be able to talk to her, and like because you got the dishes, you got dinner, dishes,
Yep.
kids,
Yep.
all that stuff. And so, I like, and now we're getting into a lot of sports, right? And so we try to limit that as well. But here's what I can tell you. Your disciplines are just as important as the no's that you have in your daily life. So what are you saying no to? And you need to write those down. And I'll give you another thing, because everyone's heard of no, like what's your no? Like what are you going to say no to? For us, it's two, our kids can't play two sports at one time. That's a no, right? For us, it's we're not going to say yes to something on every Saturday. Like we want 3 of our 4 Saturdays a month to be open, completely open, because we
Nice.
like our Saturdays, right? A no for us is that on Sundays we're not planning to go do big work. We want to have a day of Sabbath. We want some rest, right?
Hmm.
And so we're not going to go, plan to do someone's roof on a Saturday, or plan to go help someone build a garden bed or do our own stuff, right? We're not going to do that. We said, we'll help you on Saturday, but hey, listen, we only got one Saturday out of the month that we really want to fill. So, so it's limited, but we want to help you. Um, and so you got to know that stuff. But here's one that I think is really important that I've preached on for so many years, and now I think people have really seen the importance of it as I've coached on it. What are your minimums? What are your minimums? Everyone talks about what they want. That's your maximums, right? What are your minimums? Here's an example. When I graduated college over 15 years ago, which sounds crazy to say, but over 15 years, I graduated college, and I told myself out loud, I said, I am going to ensure that I exercise or go to the gym at least once a week. If I can do that until the day I die, I think I'll be a pretty fit person. I've gone 16 years without losing my minimum of that because I get to a point where I'm like, hey, it's Friday. What are you going to do? You're going to go to the gym? You're going to do something? And if I'm like in a place where I can't do anything, I'm like, that's it. I'm doing 250 push-ups right here, right? I'm going to do 250 setups right here. And I remember in Spain, we were like a few years ago, we were in Spain and I had so much jet lag and it took me like 4 days to get like over this complete jet. I felt so weak. And I remember by day 4, I was like, okay, I got to do something. And so I was like doing this week workout and I was like, you know what? But I did it. I did it. I wouldn't call it my normal workout or a good workout, but I
Right.
did. Right.
Right.
So minimums are really important. What you say no to is extremely important. But then when it comes to discipline, I'll just share some of mine. So you got some insight there. I shared with you my write it down into an actual agenda, plan it out in my calendar. When I lock in my calendar for the week, when someone says, "Hey, are you available?" If your client, I have blocked out to this brings a ton of value to people. But if your client, I have blocked out time for catching up time with clients when they say, "Hey, do you have time?" Yes,
Hmm.
I do. Thursday afternoon, I do have time for you, right? It's blocked out 4 hours right there. But it's locked in otherwise, right? And so that's a discipline. I try to do. every other weekend, I do a Murph with a group of guys. They do it
Nice.
every weekend, but I started to realize that my joints weren't built to
Ooh,
run a
that's
20
brutal,
pound
dude.
fast. Yeah,
That's
so
brutal.
yeah,
Every
it's
week.
brutal. It
Oh
never
yeah.
gets easier. That's the
Yeah.
theme that we talk about. It never gets easier, right?
Yes. Welcome to life.
Yeah. But then during the week, I try to do three workouts, weight workouts with some running. I read at least 10 to 15 minutes a night of the Bible. Um, I I've always taken this approach that I can do something in our house, like whether it's dishes, laundry, clean the toilet, something. And I'm trying to teach my kids that same thing. You can always, like, every single week, a couple times a week, you can do something to make this house better, right? And so it's not necessarily saying these are your chores. It's like, here are things that you just do because we're tidy and clean, right?
Well, let me jump in 1 second on that. And I'll tell you what you're really doing for your kids. Okay. We have a saying, it's called more is caught than taught with
Yeah, there you
kids,
go.
right?
Yeah.
So here's the ultimate goal as fathers. Okay. As you're scrubbing the toilet, doing the dishes and all that stuff, your kids see it. I use this as I tell people the difference between obedience and honor. Okay.
Mm,
Obedience, I tell you to take out the trash, you do it because I told you.
yeah.
Honor is you take out the trash because you know I'd want you to because
Yeah.
it's full. So what the goal, and this is not doesn't always happen, but like one day you're going to see your kid like doing the dishes without being prompted or
Right.
cleaning the toilet without being prompted because he saw you do it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the goal.
Yeah.
That so like, and also you want to make your wife happy. Okay, like you want to do
Yeah,
dishes
let's
all the
throw that
time.
one in there,
Okay, like we
right?
yes, in our house, so six kids, and they were
Yeah.
all within 4 years and younger, right? So like
Yeah.
you talk about a tight bunch. So like it was dishes and laundry 24/7 in our house. Literally, you wake up at 2 in the morning, the washing machine's going right of the dryer. Like
Yeah.
there's just stuff going on there. So you
Yeah.
learn that there's things you do, but so I love that you do that. Okay, as part of what as an operational procedure, right in the
Yeah.
house. Like it's really cool because you're training your children.
Yeah, for
They don't even
sure.
know it, but like
And,
you are.
and here's the thing, like, so one of the themes that I think that hopefully people see this in my life is I think of myself as tidy, not cleaning. Like, I'm constantly looking at tightening up our own systems in our business. I'm constantly moving folders
Hmm.
around so they're more clear, tightening the language on our website so people can go, yes, that's me, and here's exactly what we help with. So there's these consistent things that I call myself tidy. Right now, listen, I love things that are clean too, because I wouldn't say I'm
Yeah,
OCD, but I love clean things, right? Like
yeah,
clean car, clean toilet, clean
yeah, yeah,
floor.
yeah. Wash my car every day, every day.
Yeah, yeah,
But so in our house, it's clutter and crumbs. That's what I call it.
yeah,
I
there you
can't
go.
handle clutter.
Yeah.
Like if I have to step over anything,
Oh
in
man.
order to look standby. Okay. My
Yes.
guys in my old business with the trailers, I'm like, if I can't walk from the back to the front of this trailer without stepping over something, look out. Stuff
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like my wife's more crumbs. I'm clutter.
Yeah.
Okay. I
That's
can't handle it.
good.
But if there's like a crumb, she freaks out. I go, yeah, but there's like the stuff you gotta walk around.
I got
Right.
some nice sound bites from you today. I love
Right.
it. Clutter and crumbs. I like that one.
Crumbs and clutter, man. But that's how we operate. It makes a good team.
Yeah.
I'm not like I'm not opposed to cleaning crumbs. I'm just
Right.
saying my priority is clutter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
Just
sure. Yeah.
so I totally get it. But these are things. That's a self-awareness thing
Yeah.
that we talked about earlier. You understanding that, you bring it into your business.
Yeah.
It's an organizational thing,
For
right? It
sure.
crosses over, and you're able to utilize that gift on both fronts,
Yeah.
which I
For
think is really
sure.
powerful. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't get it. Some people do it innately. Other people, like, they don't get it because they separate business from home. Not that it
Yeah.
shouldn't be, but there's things that you're gifted in, or you have operational methods that can cross over, and it's okay.
Well, you said it earlier that the owner or the owners are often the bottleneck to
Right.
their own success. And if you don't work on yourself, your business will not follow.
Yeah, we here's another saying for you. Okay, we don't get what we want; we get who we are.
There you go. I like
Okay,
that.
and like that, and dude, I'm older than you. Okay, I
Yeah.
don't want to think about how long it's been, but that is a consistent heck yes. It always is that way. So anything that I want, I don't get. If I look at myself, I go
Yeah.
because it's not who I am.
Right. Yeah, no, that's really
Candidly,
good. Richard, you're a very wise man, and I've enjoyed these sound bites. I really
yeah,
enjoy
it's
them.
been
And
great. It's been
yeah, it
awesome.
has.
Yeah. So let's kind of wrap this up. Um, you got the book. Let's give them the title of the book again, where they can get it, if it's an Amazon thing or wherever you got, and then how they can reach you, get in touch with
Yeah.
they want to engage your services.
Yeah, the title of the book is Exit Without Leaving, building a business that thrives with you but doesn't depend on you. And you can find it on Amazon. You can find it at Barnes and Noble. These are this book is essentially my passion spilled out in the pages. So we've helped hundreds of leaders across the country, and we want to do a lot more and help a lot more people. So the book's a great first step. You can also get on our website at consultlivingwater.com. And on there, read the language, see if it makes sense of what we do and what you're going through, and see if it aligns. But get a free growth stage assessment tool. Figure out where you're at in your journey, what makes sense, and how you can take some practical steps. And if you get any value out of the book or out of that growth stage assessment tool, like we've won, right? So I know everyone's looking for more money, more money, more money, but I promise one thing that I just love when businesses win and they can do it and be that true backbone of our economy. They can do that without feeling like they're in chaos. So I love that. But other than that, you can connect with myself on LinkedIn. I'm not going to say someone manages that for me, but they do. Don't tell LinkedIn; they don't like that. But we're consistently loving growing our network because we're providing more and more value by shooting videos, creating content, all that stuff. But I would tell you go to the website, do the contact us, get the growth stage assessment tool, and start there, or read the book.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for everything we discussed today, obviously. But one other thing that you're doing when you work with businesses like you do and kind of like I do, I like to think of it this way: we're saving families.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when you can get that separation from the business and now you actually have time, the whole thing you got
Hmm.
in business to have was time to be with others. You can actually
Yeah.
do that. And that's a powerful thing. So I love that you're doing this, Harrison. Fantastic. What a great conversation. I knew it would be. And I appreciate the time you taken today just to share all this with us. And everybody, as I always tell you, anytime someone holds up a book, great, get the book, read
Yeah.
the book, and then you have to do something about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
put the
right.
book down because that's where everyone drops the
Yeah.
book slash the ball. Like take action. Take action with the stuff in the book or reach out to Harrison, engage his team, get going, move forward, be what you want. Become that
Yeah.
thing that you want and go with that. So Harrison, again, thanks for all the time. It's been absolutely fantastic. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.